Welcome back, fellow action figure fans and UFC fans alike, to my second part of my complete collection video for my Jakks Pacific UFC action figures. In my previous video, part 1, we covered series 0 through 4, so the first 5 series, and now we're going to pick up where we left off with series 5, and we'll just get right into it. And I'll start up here with the Legend action figure from Series 5, and that's Dan the Beast Severn from UFC 5, whenever he won the tournament. And this action figure is extra neat because he comes with that sweaty t-shirt he came out in for that UFC. And then for the Pride action figure for Series 5, we get Quentin Rampage Jackson from Critical Countdown 2014. And then we have Matt the Hammer Hamill from UFC 96. And Forrest Griffin's arch nemesis, Stephan Bonnar from UFC 73. Lyoto Machida from UFC 84. He comes with the championship belt. Kenny Florian from UFC 87. Matt the Terra Serra from UFC 43. Or I'm sorry, UFC 69. And this one from UFC 43. This action figure has a special story behind it. The Randy Couture. I had actually just recently found him over a year ago, because whenever this Series 6 first came out, they actually had to pull all the Randy Couture action figures from the shipment. He was made, but they had to pull it because Randy wouldn't sign off for the action figure. Something happened there with the rights of them, so they had all these Randy Couture action figures with nowhere to go, and for some reason, a little over a year ago, they all popped up in the UK. And back whenever this series first came out, I remember a few Randys had slipped out, and they were going for, hell, I think one sold for over $1,000. And I'm sure the person that bought that feels kind of stupid after all of these coming out. But still, he's very rare, and you can't find him online anywhere anymore. All those ones that showed up in the UK got bought up, so I was lucky to get one for only $30. So I was really happy to be able to add this one to the collection, because for the longest time he was the only one missing. So, neat action figure. And I think one of the reasons why Randy didn't want it to go out is because the likeness is not that great to his face. But neat little story there. And moving on with Series 6, we have George St. Pierre from UFC 87 with his #1 headband on there. Then we have Thiago Alves from UFC 85. And then the WEC figure for Series 6 is Jens Little Evil Pulver from WEC 31. I was very happy he got an action figure. And then the Legend for Series 6 was Bas Rutten, Master of the Liver Punch from UFC 5. And then moving on, continuing Series 6, we have Frank Mir from UFC 92. That's the second version of Frank Mir we had gotten. Second version of Clay Guida from UFC 94. And then we get our first Tito Ortiz from Ortiz vs. Shamrock. Then moving on to Series 7. They switched it up a little bit in this series and added in these posters. As you can see with the sticker on the front, it says bonus. Includes replica UFC event poster from the UFC that the action figure portrays that they were fighting in. So we get Forrest Griffin from UFC 53. Anderson Silva, and it's our second version of him from UFC 77. Diego Sanchez, the Nightmare, or now the Dream, from UFC 95. One of my personal favorites from Series 7, Andrei Arlovski, from UFC 47. Great head sculpt on that one. His fangs with the mouthpiece he always wore come out nice in that one. Although the picture they're showing, he's without the beard, and there he has the beard, which at UFC 47 he did, so I don't know why they chose that picture. Then our legend for Series 7 is BJ Penn from UFC 31, the Prodigy. And then our Pride figure from Series 7 is Antonio Minotauro Nogueira from Total Elimination 2014. And that's the second Minotauro we had gotten. However, his Pride version, the previous was UFC. And then we have an online exclusive here. And this packaging is done how the rest of the series packaging is done. With the UFC collection, Dana White. Of course, the president of the UFC. So that's a pretty original action figure for this line. Pretty cool to own that one. And then continuing on to Series 8, as you can see, we do have the package change with the legend from this series being Matt Hughes from UFC 40. And now all the actual UFCs that they were in are down on the bottom instead of on the upper left-hand corner. We have Chuck Liddell from whenever he fought in Pride. Pride 14, Clash of the Titans, for the Pride figure in Series 8. And then we have from Series 8, Nate Diaz from UFC Fight Night 19. Frankie Edgar from UFC 112. He comes with the belt. Then we have Quentin Rampage Jackson from UFC 75. Now, this one on the left is the regular release. And this is an MMAfigs.com exclusive to the right. It is the same version of the figure. However, he comes with a poster in the back and both the UFC belt and the Pride belt. Because at UFC 75, when he fought Dan Henderson, that's when they unified the Pride and UFC belt. So that's an awesome action figure. 1 of 1,000. So pretty cool. Then going on to Series 9. And this was the last series before the reboot, which we'll go over here in a second. But we have Series 9, Brock Lesnar from UFC 87. And that's the second Brock we had gotten. From UFC 103, Vitor Belfort. The second Mauricio Hua from UFC 97. However, the previous Shogun was from Pride. And we get a new Tito Ortiz from UFC 73. And then wrapping up Series 9, we have Vanderlei Silva in the Pride packaging, his Pride version from Final Conflict 2003. So that was the last numbered line out of that run. And then they did a reboot. Right here, they rebooted the entire series again, and Kmart got exclusive rights to them. So in this series, Series 1 of the Kmart exclusive line, we have Rashad Evans from UFC 133, Clay Guida from The Ultimate Fighter, Tough 13 Finale. Let's see, I don't know. I'm getting a little glare on these ones laying down here. I'll try to fix that for you. We have Uriah Faber from UFC 139. And I was happy to get a Uriah Faber, the California kid. Then we have George Rush St. Pierre, so a new George from UFC 124. Then we have Johnny Bones Jones from UFC 128, and he comes with the belt. Then we have Anderson Silva from UFC 134. And now we're in Series 2 of the Kmart reboot. We have Lyoto Machida from UFC 129. Cain Velasquez from UFC 121. Junior Dos Santos from UFC on Fox, and he comes with the belt. And then finally, the last single release, Alistair Overeem from UFC 141. So that was pretty cool. We got 3 heavyweights there in the last run of this UFC Jakks Pacific. And they were going to make a Series 3, and I forget what all figures were going to be in it. I know Jose Aldo was supposed to be in it, but they ended up canning it. They canceled it before production. But they did have a bunch of 2-packs, which I wasn't really into the 2-packs too much because they didn't have a lot of great matchups in them. But there were a couple that I really wanted. And one of them right here is another MMAfigs.com exclusive. It was The Ultimate Fighter, Team Liddell versus Team Couture, Forrest Griffin versus Stephan Bonnar, as I'm sure a lot of people remember this fight from the Ultimate Fighter Season 1 finale. And that was a war. And, of course, they gave them a little bit of a bloody paint job. I'm going to get in close for you guys on this one. Nothing too spectacular, but some nice little added effect there. Both of them look happy as hell like they were at the end of the fight. So that was a really neat 2-pack. And then I'm going to move back down here to another 2-pack I had because I loved this fight. And that's the original matchup between George St. Pierre and Matt Hughes. Of course, it comes with the belt here. Now, here's something interesting. There was another Randy Couture action figure. It was really hard to find in the 2-pack. And this was supposed to be pulled just like that single-carded figure. However, a good many of these did make it out before they pulled them. But it's still very rare, just like that original Randy Couture action figure. But I really loved this matchup in the UFC, so I was glad I was able to hunt one of these down because they are pretty tough to find as well. And a neat little thing about them, let me get him out of the way, and he was in the same series as this 2-pack. And you can see the other one that was in this series, the Lyoto Machida versus Shogun Rua. And then they have the one right here that the pack is of, St. Pierre versus Matt Hughes. And then there is a sticker right here covering the bottom one. And they put that on there whenever they tried to pull back the Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell set. So I'll pull it up and show you. As you can see, there is no sticker on this one now. So, pretty neat little info. But, alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed both parts of my UFC action figure collection. And stay tuned everyone, because I have a lot more action figure collection videos coming this week. So stay tuned, and I'll catch you later.